This morning we are at Stafford Lakes, Stafford. When I came and did a consultancy job here, it was a bit of a mess, and to be fair, the new owners have done a lot of work on the other lakes. There's a lot of tidying up to do just to get to the lake. Obviously it's flooded at the moment, but we'll not as much of a pain in the arse as it needs to be. Basically, when it's like this, just looking for places to land the net. Obviously you can see how flooded it is, but it's only this little corner. There's quite a nice number of lakes here, and they've got all the right ideas, and they've done a lot of work already. It was a massive task, just because of the state of it when they took over. But I'm well impressed with the work they've done already, so sets them in good stead for the future. Well, we could probably land net in here actually. And electrofish the reeds. I'm basically going to move a few silvers out of here and some bits and pieces, and this will eventually be a carp lake. And all this flooding, etc. The more you get into these jobs, the more you find problems and be able to rectify them. But most of the time it's just neglect. Just a serious amount of trees, quite often blocking overflows and blocking ditches, and as much as we all love the trees, they can really cause a lot of problems. So to cut them back and get the lake manageable, the more you do, we say this to everyone, you know, the more you do now. It's all very well just going and doing a bit of pruning, but you've got to be realistic. Yeah, we can land a net in here somewhere. Find where the edge is. Not falling in first thing. So yeah, we'll pull some nets in somewhere. So we've shot 2 nets around the open water. We're going to use this as a blanking lane here, and then we're going to electrofish all around the back, all around the margins, all around the lilies, and pull that net in and reshoot it in here and see what we catch. Amazing. So this was a fishery, but it was very neglected. Like I say, the new owners have already done loads of work on the other lakes. There's lots to do, but they're cracking on. Obviously quite a long-term project, because it's just a lot to do, but it's got potential like everywhere. It's just realising that and spending money when you need to, and not wasting it on stuff you don't need. Hopefully we can move a few fish around, make it a bit better today. So it's 300 metres of length. Well, you always try and use a combination. So these nets have been shot so that for now they're being used just as lanes. Obviously lakes with islands and bays and snags and stuff, you need a few nets. You can't just turn up with 1 or 2 little nets and piss about. If you're lucky, you'll catch a few fish, but we always try and be as thorough as we can. So having all these different nets deployed, and then, like I say, zapping around the margins, then pulling the nets in. It's about as best you can do, really, without draining the lake. So hopefully we'll be able to show you some fish. So we've only been going a few minutes already, and the first little bit of reed we hit already got a nice lot of tench. Bream and a couple of roach, but the tench, obviously they're very valuable as an asset to the fishery and future cash crop. So we're always excited when we see little tench, because if we're turning over a few already at 4 inches, it shows there'll be loads of those in here of that size. So that's a promising start. If you've got one species in your lake, it really is a bonus to have tench, because for every carp angler that doesn't like them, 100 angling clubs that will buy every single one of you. So just try and use the water and the fish to maximise the income, which takes the pressure off the owners in other areas as well. There's a few in there, isn't there? Yeah. Okay, we're going to do this real slow, because they're going to have us about in these reeds. Yeah, they will be. Okay, let me turn this on. This is a really good start. like I say, they don't know really what's in here, but there's a few carp under the trees, and there's lots of little tench, which is always a bonus, and the carp are quite clean. There's a few around the margin, so we can keep teasing them out and moving them. But yeah, it's always a bonus when you've got plenty of tench about, which in here there's loads of little tench. It's quite a good start, really. Like I say, without putting all these nets in, you're just chasing fish around, and you'll catch a few, but it's not really a good indicator of what's in here unless you get involved, really. Point that at me. Heads down here. All right? Yeah. Out with metal because that would blow the fuses. Do you see that thing I put on my feet back on the fuses? I didn't know that.
Yeah, with the phone. I know, yeah. I couldn't believe it. How many years have I just chucked fuses away because I think they're blown and they're probably not?
Okay.
Probably do.
Now. So we're just running the zappers around. It catches a nice fish. This is the sort of venue that you did have bubble floats in the trees and all manner of stuff, so you can imagine what the sort of angler's been like. But that said, the fish are alright. Getting them to grow is not a problem. I love commons anyway, but getting them to grow, people say they're too old, this, that and the other. No, I don't agree with that. I think if you do work on, you know, so much you can do here to improve the size of these. The condition's okay, considering, like I say, they didn't really know what was in here or what was left in here, but it's all good, looking smart.
I'll move the bin out of the way. Go for it, go for it. Don't worry about that one.
Yeah, nice fish.
Yeah, right.
That's lovely, that's perfect. Yeah, everyone smiles. Yeah, that's great. It's always a start of good things. They'll soon grow. That's perfect, well done.
Wonderful.
Stick him back in there. Yeah, good fish. So when a lot of places say they haven't got any silverfish, and they keep putting more in, most of the time they have. If you look here, look, all along here, but because of cormorants, these fish are fine, they'll come around in a second. Absolutely full at tench, rudd, roach, all the way along this margin. Obviously the water level's up, but the little fish, of course they're going to hide in there. So when you have a match and you're fishing out here and you're wondering where all your silvers are, they're not, there's tench everywhere. Look at all these tench, look. There's just loads of tench. Nice. There's lots and lots of fish, but they're going to spend their time living underneath these places. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, that's where the fish will go, but what we like to do is replace all this with vegetation that's more suitable for fishing. Because yeah, you want the fish to have refuge and all that, but at the same time you want them moving and active. It's always interesting. Fish.
It's flapping about.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, man. That's the one David had.
Nice.
Yeah. No little call yet. That was like that one from Liverpool that I had. No. Half linear down the back.
Yeah, we're looking at that one.
Didn't look like it.
Something in his corner of his mouth. He'll find it in a bit, yeah.
And then plenty of them.
Plenty of tench.
Survivors, days.
Yeah.
Slimy, isn't it?
Hit with the bird. Right, cool. Real nice mix of fullies and commons and a few mirrors. And I'll say we're catching a decent amount, but there's loads in the lake that we just can't get to. They're so dense. But they're looking good.
Sorry, that one. No, it's not that one.
There's loads of tench. It's all good.
Yeah, there's a £22 common in there and we haven't seen it yet.
The one we caught earlier was reasonable size, wasn't it?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, they're good. Fucking hell. That's the way.
Right.
Lovely, yeah. That'll do.
Oh, you like that, don't you?
Yeah?
You like that,
Honestly. Yeah, tench and bream. Tench, in order, it's tench, crucians, bream are the most three valuable species. So the fact you've got bream and tench is all good. Just shout back in or out with the carp.
Yeah, back in.
Right. Ghosty? Yep, back in. Okay.
Just bits left now, I think. Oh.
Nets everywhere, that's what we like. So I came here in May, the guys had just taken over and it'd seen better days, the whole site. There was an awful lot of just stuff everywhere and it was a bit of a mess. And to be fair, and I wrote them a report and said this is what I'd do. And what they've done since May is impressive. They've done a hell of a lot of work, doing the important stuff, clearing stuff out of the way. Just, you know, people tend to sell these fisheries when they are in a bit of a state, and you can just carry on running them as they are and mucking about, but you're always going to be on the back foot. You're never really learning much, and there's always issues why it's not fishing. And in here, there's decent amounts of fish, but they've taken everything seriously, so they're doing all the right stuff, which is refreshing because some people don't. They just think it's all about buying fish and taking a pair of pruning shears to a branch and go, oh, that'll do. But you can't do that with lakes like this because they're dying. You know, every year the rotting leaf is causing increased siltation and the flooding, so you've got a lot against you. So when you're doing the work properly, it shows, and that's exactly what these guys are doing. And we're just doing one more sweep today, and then we do a lot of electrofishing tomorrow morning. So we've got 200 metres of netting by 8 o'clock. Like I say, this is the only open water route. It's called the Maze. So we've shot 200 metres and blocked off. By doing that, again, you're blocking off channels and gaps between islands and all sorts. So that this is the only open water. It's very weedy in here, very shallow, decay. Lots of, when you kick it up, it's black and it stinks. And as you can see, all the scum, there's very little movement. And so yeah, this is the only open water. So block these off, and again, we can chase fish around into these channels. And then this is the last thing we'll do, is pull these in. And then because realistically it's very difficult to net these channels, you could try, but the amount of snags and weed and debris makes it difficult. So we're going to zigzag and electrofish and use a couple of stop nets to block a few channels off, and basically use the electrofishing kit how it should be used, which is to herd fish out of areas we can't really catch them and try and push them into areas we can. So again, a combination of the two is what should see us right. It's a very tiny fish topping, which is good because anything we catch is coming out of here, because this is going to be drained, which is really, really good fishery management. If you bought this place, which the guys are doing, you know, the ultimate fix is to drain it, get it out, get it sorted, more planting, manage the trees, desilt it a bit, do everything properly, and then you ain't got to touch it then for years, and it'll mature. And the odd person who's moaning now, which you always get, they'll all see the long-term picture. It's all about the long term every time. It's not about today, it's not about one angler, it's about doing what's best for the fishery for the long term, especially if you own it, because it's a business at the end of the day. So yeah, hopefully we'll show you where we get on. They don't really know how many fish are in here. They've seen a few carp, But yeah, we're here to catch as many as we can today and move them into the other lakes. So these channels are very weedy, quite shallow, very, very silty, not a huge amount of water, and the prop is constantly catching on weed. So we're basically just blocking off little channels with little nets like that. That's just a 25-metre net. You wouldn't seldom use that for actually netting a pond, but you'd use it as a lane. So for now, I think we'll just put it up here. Yeah, a lot of this is too weedy to net anyway. Plus there's not a lot of places to land big nets. What's that over there? Little fry? Yeah, a lot of weed here. Yeah, a lot of weed here. It's beautiful. It will be. Nice little swim in there. Very natural. You don't need big fancy pegs, you just need places to fish. You just open that up a bit, tidy up either side, do a bit more planting instead of all this dead stuff. You get a lot more benefit out of it. So I'm thinking now on this left bit is where we go back out to that channel. So this is a bit of dead water here, so we don't actually need to put a net in here, to be fair. Go and put it somewhere else, because if we chase them up here later, like Matt says, as soon as you get in the water it just stinks of sulphur, and that's just all that's happening here is rotting. Everything's rotting and dropping in the lake. And these lovely little stalking areas, there's swims dotted around, and years ago it would have been amazing, but things grow very quickly, and things keep growing and keep growing and keep growing, and all the leaves falling in, all the leaves every single year. So if you don't take charge of that and do something about it, what do you expect is going to happen? As years go by, it gets less naturally productive, and then the more duckweed, the more weed, the less wind, the higher the chance of an oxygen crash. And our job is to prevent that. So you have to have some harsh truths and say, well, you can't really leave it like that. There's duckweed and all sorts. Obviously it's nearly November now, so it's cold, but you can imagine what this would be like in the summer. Like I say, I love lakes like this, but without them being managed, they're a real headache. And you're always thinking, oh, oxygen problems and all sorts of stuff. So you've got to open them up, in my opinion, otherwise you're just mucking about, really. Jungle warfare today. There's quite a lot of tench everywhere. Yeah, they're right on the back of these reeds. Problem, just constantly dealing with blanket weed, duckweed, all sorts, just clogging up all the stuff. So even if we could net through here, I mean, there's nowhere to land nets anyway, but I don't think it'd be that effective. Electric fishing's the way to go along these little channels, just because you're dealing with just all this every minute, and it's all these snags and stuff just harbour decay, duckweed, and that could all be useful, improved habitat and vegetation all along these banks. There's actually nothing that's doing the water quality any good whatsoever. It just isn't. It's just rotting dead trees that have been left for years, and you're losing a lot of water. Where that bulrush has encroached, there's nearly 15, 20 odd, getting on 20 foot in places of bank that you're missing out, and if you open that up, it creates more wind in here. Look at all this here, look. I know it's proper carpy and everything, but the reality is, long term, if you bought this, you'd soon have these problems. And like I say, quite a lot of these venues we go to that are like this, they sell them. They go, oh, it's too much work to do, we'll just sell it while it's still, you know, what it is, and then someone else has to take on all the effort and the work. And when we're catching fish, green tench, lots of tension here, which are a viable cash crop for the future. But it's a beautiful lake, but it will be a lot better when it's done. It'll be a lot more useful. People will actually be able to safely fish it, and the water quality will drastically improve. And that's what it's all about. It's long term. Not for today, it's for the future. So every metre at the moment is making it quite difficult. only got a short prop on this as well, but this is no good. All this stuff is rubbish. You don't need all this. It's just endless. It just clogs up everything. It's a bloody sea of it. So yeah, I'm glad we're not netting these channels because we'd waste a lot of time. That's what happens when you leave it to nature. Nice, loads of tench. Bream, pike. Lovely. Nice. So that's what you're better off having margins like this. Plants, much more beneficial. No one's going to argue with that. Plants are much more beneficial on a margin than knackered old trees and snags and crap. You can fish safely amongst these. Much better. There's no negative effects of having plants, but there's multiple benefits. And I'll preach it to the day I die, because all the fisheries that take it on board and all the lakes that we've been involved with over the years make a hell of a difference. It really does. It's naive just to think, oh, just leave it and leave all the trees and forget it and leave it to nature and do a bit of pruning. I don't believe that to be the best way to manage your fisheries for the long term. I really don't. Oh, nice couple. Slow going. Some of it you can walk, but as soon as you get in, it stinks of just decay and rotting. And all that is just years and years and years of all this crap coming in here, just being left. And it creates silt, weed grows on top of all that. It's not a great way to promote your fishery. It's just bad water quality. You want more of this, but even this is encroaching too far. So my idea of careful management differs from some, but we work at more fisheries than most, so you got to stick to your guns, really. Yeah. Just got to keep going. Think through the batteries. These batteries are all well and good, but any. So you got the earth wire, and it's just, yeah, it's horrendous. Lovely. Just leave it to nature. I always think the harder it is for us to catch fish, the harder it is for an angler to catch fish. And if my prop's getting caught up with blanket weed and crap, banks are undercut in places as well, you're just trying to eliminate these. You don't need this. It's a myth. You don't need all this. No benefit at all. Yeah. Lovely fish. Yeah, nice. Yeah. They're really nice fish. Lovely. Yep. Yeah. Got a little baby tench and baby pike. We're just catching the pike because they're getting them. So this is about the 100th time. We just caught a fish and you just get caught in all this shit. You should never net these channels. Two reasons. There's nowhere to land them, and you're just gonna blanket weed. The net's worst enemy. I don't mind a snag, because you can go out to a snag and lift it off. When you got all this crap everywhere, it's just not nettable. Blanket weed hates movement. All weed hates movement, but yeah, really nice, really clean. One. Probably in this next gap to keep this side open. So we have done all we can electrofishing. It is a jungle, and then we've done one sweep up the other end, which we thought was the best bit of open water, and it was just reed, just horrendous. And some people would think this is a good way to run your business, but I don't. Which is why it's been sold, because the people. Yes, please. Because the people who had it before, that I ain't going to do that work. It's a lot of work. So they sell it, and this is when these sort of lakes get sold. Bags of potential, which will always be better. and that's what we're here to do. And we can prove that these things work. Ah, you bastard. But not if you just leave everything. You can muck about. It's irrelevant how big your fish are. They'll grow. It's not difficult to get carp to grow. It really isn't. But it's difficult to get through to people that if you want to have this 20 years time as a lovely lake, you've got to do some work. Not just piss around with a pair of shears. It stinks. It absolutely stinks. Just decay and rotting vegetation. Years and years of nothing happening. Very familiar. But the difference is this place will be turned around in a couple of years, and again it'll be in the portfolio of places that we're starting to see their potential and no one getting moody because the owners are realistic about what's got to happen. You can see all this scum and duckweed on the top. Just needs sorting out. It really does. Because it stinks in here, it's black. See? So that's what we're dealing with. And this is the open area. This was the best bit. You wouldn't have put it anywhere else. Like I said to the boys, it's coming well enough to catch fish, but I don't even in there. One or two little ones.
They're banning books in Florida, writing bills in Texas. We see where this is going. They say they wanna fix us. But me, I'm just me, and you are just you. Nothing's gonna change the truth.